Hi, hello, good morning to everyone. Let's start today's nonsense with one motivational video. Imagine giving the best performance of your season and still quite a moment. You trained, you sacrificed, you gave everything you had, and then when the result came, you still stood second. This is exactly the kind of moment that can make a person. But sometimes the moment that looks like defeat is actually the moment your next victory is being built. The Hindu recently reported that Neeraj Chopra produced a 0.05 meters at and that single fact wait wait a second. And let's continue. The Hindu recently reported that Neeraj Chopra produced a season's best throw of 88.05 meters at finishes second, and that single fact contains lesson far bigger than athletes. It contains a lesson for every aspirant sitting in a room tonight preparing for UPSC, SSC, banking, railway, or any other state public service commission examinations. What if my best is still not enough? Every aspirant eventually asks this question. You study for 8 hours, you complete the syllabus, you solve hundreds of questions, you revise again and again, and then you, someone else knows. Someone 70, you got 1 to 1, and suddenly your mind says, maybe I am not capable. No, stop there. A poor result doesn't automatically mean poor preparation. Sometimes your preparation has improved enormously, but the result has simply not caught up with your improvement yet. Neeraj's 88.05 meters was not a failure of effort, it was his season best performance. He lost the competition, but he did not lose his progress. And that distinction is everything. Remember this: a result tells you where you finished. Progress tells you how far you have traveled. Never confuse the two. You may fail an examination, but your vocabulary may be better. Your mathematics may be faster. Your comprehension may be stronger. Your accuracy may have improved. Your revision may be deeper. Your discipline may be greater. The result may say not selected, but your preparation may be saying you are becoming the person who can be selected. So, aspirants, listen carefully. There will be days when you do your best mock test and still don't reach the cutoff. There will be attempts when you work harder than ever. There will be moments of friends move ahead while you remain behind. And your family may ask, when will you finally succeed? Your relatives may compare you. Your friends may stop believing in you. And sometimes even you may stop believing in yourself. But it is precisely when you must remember your current result is not a verdict on your final potential. It is information, it is a checkpoint. It is not your identity. Look at the 88.05 meters. Imagine standing at the throwing line. You throw 88.05 meters, your best of the season, and then you look at the scoreboard. Second place, what would an ordinary mind say? I lost. But an athlete's mind asks, what do I need to do to make this 88.05 become 90? That is the difference. The weak mind asks, why didn't I win? The growth mindset asks, what can I improve? And aspirants, that second question can change your entire life. Your 112 marks are your 88.05 meters. Suppose your target examination requires 150 marks. You score 112. Don't say, I am a fail. Instead, say, 112 is my current measurement. Next mock test will be 118, then 126, then 134, then 141, then 148. And finally, the result you were waiting for. Do you see what happened? The final victory did not suddenly appear on examination. It is constructed through hundreds of small improvements that nobody applauded. The extra 10% you solved, the mistakes you analyzed, the revision you did when you didn't feel like studying, the morning you woke up while everyone else was sleeping, the night you continued when your mind said enough. Those invisible moments create visible success. Here is the quotation I want to remember. Moment you win. Sometimes success is the moment you refuse to stop improving. Read that again. Success is not always the moment you win. Sometimes success is the moment you refuse to stop improving. Refuse to stop improving because competitive examinations are not only testing intelligence, they are testing consistency, patience, adaptability, emotional strength, and the ability to continue after disappointment. So stop asking why I am behind. Ask, am I better than I was yesterday? If yes, continue. If your score improved by 5 marks, continue. If your accuracy improved by 3%, continue. If you finally understood a difficult topic, continue. If yesterday was studied for 4 hours and today you studied for 5 hours, then continue. Because progress does not always arrive dramatically. Sometimes progress is painfully small, but small progress repeated consistently becomes transformation. And there will be one terrible day. One day you will receive a result and your name will not be. You will stare at the screen. You will feel empty. You may cry. You may feel embarrassed. You may wonder whether all those months were wasted. On that day, allow yourself to feel disappointed. But don't make a permanent decision based on a temporary emotion. Don't quit your dream on the first day of your journey because you don't know what the next attempt is capable of producing. Remember, one failed attempt is an event. It is not your identity. The most dangerous person is not the one who never fails. The most dangerous person is the one who has failed, studied the future, corrected the weakness, returned stronger, and said, try me again. That person becomes difficult to defeat because failure has already taught them what success cannot teach: humanity, patience, self awareness, and resilience. So, aspirant, what should you do tonight? Not tomorrow. Tonight, take your last mock test, open your mistakes, don't look at the score first, look at the errors. Ask, why did I get this wrong? Was it lack of knowledge, poor revision, silly mistakes, time pressure, wrong strategy, or anxiety? Find the reason because every mistake that you understand today is one mistake you have a chance not to repeat Your job is not to become perfect overnight. Your job is to become 1% better every day. And now I want you to imagine your final day. Your, you enter the examination hall, you are calm, you have seen difficult questions before, you have survived bad mock scores, you have survived comparisons, you have survived self-doubt, you have survived rejection, you have survived the days when you wanted to quit, and now you are sitting there with one thought: I have prepared for this moment. The clock starts, you begin. One question, then another, then another. You walk out. Months later, the result arrives. You open it, and there it is. Your name selected. Not because you were never defeated, final chapter. So, when you hear that Neeraj Chopra threw 88.05 meters and still finished second, don't remember only the distance. Remember the lesson. Your best performance today may not be your biggest victory today, and that is okay. Your best mock score may not clear the exam. Your best attempt may not get you selected. Your hardest month may not immediately change your life. But none of that means the effort has was wasted. Every honest effort leaves something behind. It builds your knowledge, it builds your discipline, it builds your character. It builds the person who will eventually be ready when the opportunity arrives. So, if you fail an attempt, don't call yourself a failure. If your marks are low, don't call yourself incapable. If someone is ahead of you, don't assume your race is over. And if today your best is still not enough, make your best better tomorrow. And the day after that, and the day after that. Until one day the distance you once thought was impossible becomes your new starting point. The final word, aspirants, your story is not finished because today's result disappointed you. The chapter is still being written. Maybe today you are standing at 88.05 meters. Maybe someone else is ahead of you. Let them be. Your job is not to defeat them today. Your job is to become stronger than the person you were yesterday. Because one day your preparation will meet you, meet your opportunity. Your discipline will meet your chance. Your persistence will meet your moment. And when that moment comes, you will not need motivation. You will simply step forward, take your position, and give everything you have. And perhaps then the world will finally understand something you knew all along. I was never losing. I was learning how to win. So, study when nobody is watching. Improve when nobody is applauding. Continue when nobody believes in you. And rise Every time life asks you to stay down because your best performance may come before your biggest victory. Don't stop at 88.05 meters. Keep throwing, keep improving, keep believing. Your victory may be closer than your disappointment is telling. With this, I end this motivation video. Thank you for all those who have watched until now. Now, we'll continue today's newspaper analysis, the Hindu, in a minute. Now let's continue today's newspaper, the Hindu Pagewise Analysis of must-read articles of today's newspaper. The first important article from today's newspaper was this one, releasing the summary of the editor's article.
Page number 1. Category International Relations, West Asia, Metropolitan. Summary. Iran President Massoud Pezeshkian said a US-Iran memorandum of understanding could provide a way out of the ongoing conflict. He acknowledged problems faced by Iranians due to the prolonged war and stressed that Iran will follow policy set by Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Understanding could help the Strait of Hormuz remains strategic because of its role in global energy shipping. In the US-Iran wider implications for West Asian stability and global energy security. Highlights. Iran President, now with US will be the Iran. Iran's nuclear program remains a central issue. Of Hormuz is vital to global shipping. Conflict has been for energy security. Exam focus, West Asia, resistance, Strait of Hormuz. 2.
Next important article was this one. This was this article. It was related to thinking visit.
To China with an eye on Xi Jinping's visit. Page number 1. Category International Relations India-China. Summary. National Security Advisor Ajit Doval is expected to visit Beijing for the 25th round of Special Representative talks on the boundary question. The visit comes amid preparations for Chinese President Xi Jinping's possible visit to India. Doval and Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi are expected to take stock of the broad bilateral relationship. The special representative's mechanism is important for addressing the India-China boundary dispute. The two sides are also preparing for the September BRICS summit. The talks will influence the broader trajectory of India-China relations. Key highlights. Ajit Doval right-pointing arrow India's special representative on boundary negotiations. 55th round of special representative talks. Focus. India-China boundary question. Possible Xi Jinping visit to India. Exam focus, India-China relations, BRICS, border diplomacy.
The next important article was related to Lok Sabha governance.
3. Congress highlights, abnormal, winning in Lok Sabha prorogation. Page number 1. Category, Polity, Parliament, Constitutional Procedure. Summary. The Congress has questioned the delay in the prorogation of the Lok Sabha following the end of the monsoon session. The party raised concerns over the constitutional and parliamentary procedure surrounding prorogation. It noted that the previous session ended without the normal formal process being completed. The issue involves the constitutional role of the president and the functioning of parliament. The delay has implications for legislative procedure and the government's ability to convene the next session. The matter is therefore relevant to understanding parliamentary conventions and constitutional provisions. He highlights. Issue concerns Lok Sabha prorogation. Prorogation is formally done by the President. Article 85 is relevant to Parliament sessions and prorogation. Raises questions about parliamentary practice. Exam focus, Parliament, Article 85, Constitutional Procedure.
Next, the next important article was related to Assam government.
panel plans Assam government for an action on mining. Page number 1. Category Judiciary Environment Governance. Summary. The Supreme Court appointed panel has criticized the Assam government over alleged inaction concerning mining. The issue refers to environmental protection and regulation of mining activities. The Supreme Court's involvement highlights judicial oversight in environmental governance. The matter is significant for balancing economic activity with ecological protection. It also demonstrates the role of expert or court-appointed committees in monitoring compliance. Mining-related environmental violations can have implications for biodiversity, forests and local ecosystems. Key highlights. Supreme Court appointed panel criticized Assam government. Focus. Mining and environmental governance. Judicial monitoring of environmental compliance. Exam focus. Governance. Mining regulation.
Now, we move on next part article was related to reading.
5. India can be a hub for shipbuilding. Rajnath. 1. Category Economy Infrastructure Defense. Summary. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh highlighted India's potential to become a major global shipbuilding hub. Developing shipbuilding capabilities can strengthen India's industrial and manufacturing base. The sector has strategic importance for both commercial shipping and national defense. Expansion of shipbuilding can generate employment and support related industries. The issue also connects to India's broader objective of developing domestic manufacturing capabilities. A stronger shipbuilding ecosystem can improve India's maritime strategic capacity. He highlights India has potential to become a global shipbuilding hub. Shipbuilding supports manufacturing and employment. Strategic importance for maritime security. Importance for defense industry capacity. Exam focus manufacturing, maritime economy, defense.
Now, we move on to next important article. It was related to space startup. This
PM urges space startups to make India a talent hub. 1. Category Science and Technology, Space Startups. Summary. Prime Minister Narendra Modi called upon India's private space sector to help make the country a global talent hub. The focus is on building capabilities and attracting skilled professionals to India's growing space ecosystem. These startups are increasingly important to India's expanding private space sector. The development of talent and technology can strengthen India's position in the global space economy. The government is seeking greater participation of private players alongside traditional space institutions. The issue is important for India's space sector reforms and innovation ecosystem. Key highlights. Focus on space startups and skilled talent. Private sector participation in space is expanding. Aims to strengthen its global space position. Links startups, innovation space technology. Exam focus, Indian space sector, private space industry, startups.
now we move on to next important article related to within the Sankalp Odisha.
7. Search for 22 from the focus point of Odisha. Page number 1. Category Internal Security, Maritime Safety, Disaster Management. Summary. Such operations continued for 22 people missing after a vessel sank off the Odisha coast. And other agencies were involved in search and rescue efforts. The incident highlights the importance of maritime surveillance and emergency response. mechanisms. The operation also demonstrates coordination among multiple agencies in coastal waters. It is relevant from the perspective of maritime safety and disaster response preparedness. He highlights 22 people remain missing. Incident occurred off the Orissa coast. Indian Coast Guard involved in search operations. Maritime rescue coordination is central to the operation. Its focus: Indian Coast Guard, maritime security, disaster management.
Next important article, 8.
Not building an AI tutor for every child. Page number. Category: Science and Technology, Education, AI. 5. Editorial. Summary. The editorial examines the possibility of using AI tools to improve access to education. It argues that AI-based learning tools could provide personalized educational support to children. However, effective deployment requires adequate. The government has an important role in full access. AI in education raises accessibility, quality, digital divide and responsible use. The topic connects emerging technology with India's education policy objectives. Highlight. AI to enable personalized learning. Infrastructure is essential for AI-based education. Digital divide remains a major challenge. Government support is important for equitable access. Exam focus, artificial intelligence, education reform, digital governance.
Moving on to next important article on this page. These are the only important articles on this page. We move on to next page. So this goes for you, so please subscribe and hit the like button. The first important article is last page. Gold. Degree.
1. Digging for gold. Page 4. Category: Economy, Mining, Environment, Governance. Summary. Parliament has passed the Mines and Minerals Development and Regulation Amendment Bill 2026, changing the framework for extraction and management of minerals. The amendment places greater control over extraction and management of minerals in the hands of the central government. Renewals. The article highlights concerns over damage, rehabilitation, urban employment and the rights of mining affected. It also examines the potential economic benefits from greater mineral extraction and the distribution of mining revenues. The chief process. Highlight. Development and Regulation Amendment Bill 2026. Which is central government role in mineral extraction management. Mineral producing state. Concerns, environment, state revenues and local communities. Example policy, country-state relations, natural resources, environment.
Now we move on to next important article for some related.
Q. Q. This speaker reads space during national anthem. Draws plan. Page number 4. Category: Polity, Constitutional Institutions, National Symbols. Summary. Andhra Pradesh Assembly Speaker Satish Mahana left the speaker's base during the playing of the national anthem. The incident occurred during an event organized by the army-related program. Mr. Mr. Mahana later claimed that the national anthem was not being played when he initially left the base. A purported video of the incident subsequently circulated, prompting criticism. The incident raises issues concerning appropriate conduct during the national anthem and the dignity associated with constitutional public officers. The episode is relevant for questions involving national civil institutional conduct. He writes, the Assembly Speaker, Satish Mahale. Controversy concerned conduct during the national anthem. Review of the incident triggered criticism. Speaker disputed the interpretation of the incident. Exam focus, national anthem, constitutional, public officers, parliamentary dignity.
This is what about this article. Now we move on to next part article related to Karnataka Nation's seat.
Race seeking Karnataka minister's exit. Category, Polity, State Government, Developments. Summary. The BJP in Karnataka announced protest seeking the resignation of the Minister of Youth Affairs and Sport. The opposition alleged that the minister's conduct had caused controversy and demanded his exit. BJP leaders plan to protest outside the Karnataka Assembly. The development comes amid political tensions between the ruling Congress and the opposition BJP. The issue is relevant to the functioning of state governments and the role of opposition parties in legislative accountability. For examinations, the key point is the political confrontation surrounding the state government and ministerial responsibility. Key highlights. Karnataka BJP announced an assembly protest. Demand. Resignation of Minister V. Narendra. Opposition right pointing arrow government accountability. Demonstrates the role of opposition in state legislative politics. Exam focus. State government, ministerial responsibility, opposition. 4.
Next part article was related to Vande Mataram.
4. Under Assembly Rule, BJP leaders sit under Mataram in Shimla. Page number 4. Category, Politics, National Symbols, Political Development. Summary. BJP leaders and party workers gathered in Shimla and sang Vande Mataram amid an assembly-related political controversy. The protest was connected with opposition to the Congress government and an ongoing dispute surrounding proceedings in the Himachal Pradesh Assembly. BJP leaders described the action as being undertaken with respect for the national song. The episode highlights the continuing political significance of Vande Mataram in public and legislative discourse. It also illustrates how national symbols can become part of political debate. For competitive exams, the distinction between the national anthem and national song is particularly important. Key highlights. BJP leaders, workers sang Vande Mataram in Shimla. Event occurred amid a political assembly controversy. Vande Mataram equals National Song of India. Jana Gana Mana equals National Anthem. Exam focus, national symbol, polity, legislative proceedings.
Now, following current affairs page. Now, on next page. Before this, those who are new to this channel, please subscribe to the red button. But article of the page was this one.
1. 13,433 UG seats still vacant. 2 offers spot admissions. Page number 5. Category Education, Higher Education, Data. Summary. Delhi University still has 13,433 vacant undergraduate seats. The vacancies span several categories in colleges, including seats in popular programs. The article highlights the mismatch between available seats and preferences despite high demand for two. Around 1.9 registered registered for undergraduate programs through the Common Seat Allocation System. CBSE students have also been allowed to apply through a later admission window, expanding the pool of applicants. Key highlights: 13,433 UG seats remain vacant. Do right pointing arrow spot admission round announced. Around 1.9 lakh students registered for UG programs. St. Stephen's, Hindu College and other colleges have vacancies. Exam focus, higher education, university admissions, education data.
Now, we move on to next point article from this page, or related to paper.
2. Paper leak con. Raipur Varsity cancels BSc exam. Page number 5. Category Education, Public Examinations, Governance. Summary. Indira Gandhi Krishi Vishwavidyalay, Raipur confirmed that its BSc examination paper had leaked. The university cancelled the examination after the paper was allegedly circulated before the test. The leak involved a plant pathology paper, with a copy reportedly found with students. The university ordered the investigation and issued show cause notices to those suspected of involvement. Security measures have been tightened for subsequent examinations. The efficacy is stronger safeguards against paper leak. BSc examination cancelled after leak confirmed. University, Indira Gandhi Krishi Vishwavidyalaya. Investigation and show cause notice is initiated. Measures strengthen total examinations. Exam preparation, exam integrity, education governance.
We move on to next point article related to health prisoners. Transfer of health.
3. Government. State transfer of high-risk prisoners, industrial gangsters, Delhi CI. Page number 5. Category Internal Security, Prison, Governance. Summary. The Delhi government is examining a plan to transfer organized gangsters and other high-risk prisoners to jails in other states. The proposal aims to prevent criminal networks from operating inside Delhi prisons. The plan would require cooperation and consent from the governments of other states. Delhi currently has a substantial population of prisoners and underprivileged, creating security and administrative challenges. The proposal specifically focuses on high-risk prisoners and alleged gang-linked inmates. It raises important issues concerning administration, interstate coordination and internal security. Key highlights. Proposal for interstate transfer of high-risk prisoners. Focus on organized gangsters and gang-linked individuals. Requires cooperation of other state governments. Objective: prevent criminal networks operating from prisons. Exam focus: prison reform, internal security, organized crime, center, state coordination.
Next point article was related to master plan implementation of PDA plans.
4. BDA category: government urban planning infrastructure. The Delhi Development Authority (DDA) plans more with stakeholders on implementation of the master plan for Delhi 2041. Meetings are intended to gather views from residents' welfare associations, housing societies, cooperative groups and other stakeholders. The master plan deals with Delhi's future urban development and land use planning. The consultations are aimed at addressing implementation-related concerns. The process highlights the importance of stakeholder participation in urban governance. For competitive exams, the key relevance lies in urban planning, land-use governance and sustainable city development. Key highlights. BEE Planning 20 plus stakeholder meetings. Focus. Master Plan for Delhi 2041. Consultations involve RWA, housing societies and other groups. Concerns include urban development and land use planning. Exam focus, urban governance, infrastructure, land development.
Next important article from this hospital. This inmates rebuild their life after death.
5. Beyond the gates. How ex-inmates rebuild their lives after prison. Page number 5. Category. Social issues, prison reform, rehabilitation. Summary. The article profiles former prisoners who rebuilt their lives after completing their sentences. It highlights the importance of education, vocational training and employment in rehabilitation. The Better Life Prison School inside Tihar Jail is cited as an initiative providing education to inmates. Prisoners have received opportunities to pursue schooling, vocational courses and higher education. Such programs can reduce the difficulties faced by former inmates after release and support their reintegration into society. The article underlines the broader principle that imprisonment should include rehabilitation and social reintegration, not merely punishment. He highlights focus on prisoner rehabilitation and reintegration. Education and vocational training are key rehabilitation tools. Tihar's Better Life Prison School provides educational opportunities. Employment helps former inmates rebuild independent lives. Exam focus, prison reform, social justice, rehabilitation, inclusive governance.
These are the only important articles. We move on to next important article. This page number 6, page section. Those who are new to this will be subscribe and hit like button. The first important article of this page was this one, related to Adani calls Karnataka CM.
1. Adani calls on Karnataka CM, sparks political speculation. Page number 6. Category Economic Infrastructure, Karnataka Governance. Summary. Adani Group Chairman Gautam Adani met Karnataka Chief Minister Siddaramayya, triggering political speculation. The Chief Minister's office described the meeting as a courtesy visit. The meeting comes amid discussions around the Bengaluru North-South Twin Tube Tunnel route project. The Adani Group is reported to have expressed interest in the project. The proposed tunnel project is estimated to cost around 17,000 crore rupees, with the Adani Group reportedly seeking a significant move. The development is relevant to infrastructure financing, urban transport and public-private participation. He highlights. Gautam Adani met Karnataka CM Siddaramayya. Focus. Bengaluru's North-South Twin Tube Tunnel road project. Estimated project cost 17,000 crore rupees. Possible private sector Adani Group participation. Exam focus, infrastructure, PPP, urban transport investment.
Next, next important article was related to work law.
2. Humanity accuses UDA government of giving to BJP RSS on what law. Page number 6. Category Polity Judicial Minority Affairs what. Summary. Kerala Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan criticized the Congress-led UDF government over its position on the Waqf law. He alleged that the UDF government was moving to pressure from the BJP RSS. The dispute centers on implementation and interpretation of changes concerning Waqf administration. The Waqf issue involves questions of religious endowments, property administration and government regulation. The Chief Minister also linked the controversy to broader political differences between the LDF, UDF and BJP. For examinations, the important area is the legal and constitutional framework governing Waqf property. He highlights issue, Waqf law and its implementation. Kerala's CM Pinarayi Vijayan criticized the UDA. Waqf
He is not CM, he is the opposition leader of Kerala.
administrates religious endowments property. Implications. Exam focus, minority institutions, property administration, quality.
Moving on to next part article is related to dam.
Head arrests former AP Minister in Liquor Transport Scam case. Page number 6. Category Judiciary Anti-Corruption Enforcement Directorate. Summary. The Enforcement Directorate arrested a former Andhra Pradesh minister in connection with an alleged liquor transport scam. The case involves alleged irregularities in liquor transportation and related financial transactions. The investigation concerns anti-money laundering laws. It's good in investigating suspected proceeds of crime and financial irregularities. The case also highlights the intersection of state-level agents and central investigative agencies. This is the roles and functions of the aid. Highlights. To the former EP minister. These concerns an alleged liquor transport scam. Financial irregularities are under investigation. Investigates offences involving proceeds of crime, money laundering. Exam focus, head, PMLA, anti-corruption, financial investigation. 4. Kerala HC allowed
Next important article was related to Karnataka High Court allows cancer patients.
allows cancer patient to be added as partner in case of medicine crisis. Page number 6. Category Judiciary with public interest. Summary. The Kerala High Court allowed a cancer patient to be made a party to a case concerning the pricing of cancer medicines. The case involves questions surrounding the affordability and regulation of essential cancer drugs. Court directed authorities to consider the patient's concerns regarding the price of a particular medicine. The case has implications for access to essential medicines and public health. It also highlights judicial intervention when medicine prices may affect patients' ability to access treatment. The matter is important from the perspective of healthcare regulation and public interest litigation. Key highlights. Kerala High Court right-pointing arrow cancer medicine pricing case. Cancer patients permitted to become a party. Focus on affordability of essential medicines. Judicial scrutiny of medicine pricing access. Exam focus, judiciary, public health, essential medicines, drug price regulation.
Next important article related to APSC scam.
5. Ex-searched residence of PS officer in UPSC. Clam case. Page number 6. Category Anti-Corruption, Governance, Judiciary. Summary. The Enforcement Directorate searched the residence of an ES officer in connection with the alleged Kerala Public Service Commission related scam. The investigation concerns suspected irregularities and alleged financial transactions. The head's action indicates that the case has acquired a financial investigation dimension. Investigators are examining alleged money trails and possible proceeds connected with the suspected irregularities. The case highlights the importance of integrity and transparency in public recruitment institutions. It is relevant for competitive exams because KPSC is a constitutional, public recruitment institution in the state context and corruption in recruitment affects public administration. Key highlights. Head conducted a search linked to the alleged KPSC scam. PS officers residence search. Investigation includes suspected financial transactions. Recruitment-related corruption affects public administration. Exam focus, head, corruption, public recruitment, governance.
Now, next important article. These are the important articles for this page. Now we go on the next page. Literary section. The first important article. Page 170. Education first. Beyond the
Beyond the red pen. Page Number 7. Category Education AI in Education Education Reform. Summary. The article examines how assignments can be transformed from routine academic exercises into socio-economic learning tools. It argues that students should move beyond rote learning and engage with real-world problems, data, evidence, and social context. The can help students enhance information, benefit content, and explore complex issues, but its use should promote learning rather than simply produce answers. Teachers need to redesign assignments so that students demonstrate reasoning, reflection, creativity, and contextual understanding. The article highlights concerns around AI-generated content, including reduced originality and the risk of students relying excessively on technology. It advocates combining technology with human judgment, ethical awareness, and meaningful assessment. Key highlights: shift from rote assignments, right pointing arrow, real world learning. AI can support research, analysis, and personalized learning. Assessment should test reasoning, reflection, and creativity. Excessive dependence on AI may undermine genuine learning. Example is AI in education, education reforms, responsible AI, assessment reforms.
Yeah. What about this article? Next page is page number 8. The first point article on this page was double related to the and
1. Triple test, a truth. Page number 8. Category, Judiciary, Constitution, Anti-Defection. Summary. The editorial examines the Supreme Court's recent judgment review of the Speaker's decisions under the 10th schedule. The case concerns a Karnataka MLA who had been disqualified under the anti-defection law. The court held that the Speaker's decisions under the 10th schedule are subject to judicial review. The editorial discusses the three constitutional conditions that determine whether legislative action can withstand judicial scrutiny. The issue is significant for maintaining legislation and preventing misuse of the Speaker's authority. 10th Schedule right pointing arrow anti-defection law. Speaker will be subjected to judicial review. Delay in deciding defection is a major concern. Hence, legislators correlate with constitutional. Example is Article 102 190 plus 10th Schedule, Speaker, Judicial Review.
next point article is in economy is the articles. These are the point articles.
2. The Indian economy looks set for tough times. Page number 8. Category Economy, Inflation, Trade, Growth. Summary. The editorial warns that India's economy may face increasing pressure from several external and domestic factors. It highlights slowing growth indicators and uncertainty surrounding global trade and geopolitical developments. The routine insights. Rising input and energy costs and consumption. The article also points to weaknesses in some sectors despite India's overall economic resilience. Sectors therefore face the challenge of supporting growth while maintaining macroeconomic stability. Key highlights. Concern over India's economic growth. Even trade uncertainty can affect domestic activity. Energy import costs influence inflation. Key sector pressures are important. For example, with inflation, trade, rupee, macroeconomic stability. 3. The union and
Next point article date to the
and AI to quality AI education. Summary is that AI tutors could potentially provide personalized education to children across India. Notes that India's education system faces challenges involving access, quality, teacher availability, and learning outcomes. AI could provide personalized explanations, feedback, and learning support at relatively low marginal cost. However, an AI tutor cannot simply substitute the teachers. It requires strong digital infrastructure, reliable data, and safeguards. Editorials stressed the need for government-created digital infrastructure and equitable access. Issues such as government right pointing and digital infrastructure AI should supplement, not simply replace, teachers. See, bias, misinformation, and digital divide. AI, education reform, digital public infrastructure, responsible AI.
Was created to finance.
4. The result of profanation is a new political language. Page number 8. Category, polity, democracy, political communication. Summary. The editorial examines the increasing provocative or profane political language in contemporary public discourse. It draws on philosopher Giorgio Agamben's idea of profanation to discuss how established symbols and political conventions can be challenged. The article connects this phenomenon with protests, political movements, and unconventional forms of political expression. Social media has expanded the confrontational and provocative political communication. Such language can challenge established political hierarchies but may also deepen polarization. The editorial asks whether unconventional political expression strengthens democratic participation or weakens institutional norms. Proclamation right pointing arrow Agamben's philosophical communication is increasingly informal and confrontational. Social media amplifies unconventional political expression. This can challenge established political norms. Exam focus, democracy, political participation, political communication, social media.
Now, to move on to next point articles in this news. This following point articles from here. Now, we move on to next page. Page number 9, beginning section. The first important article in this page was this vulnerable for social.
1. A civilizational approach to social media. Number 9. Category Science and Technology, Social Issues. Summary. The article argues that social media regulation cannot be treated merely as a question of controlling technology. The debate can harmful content. Simply if solve the underlying problems, regulation must consider India's social context. The author argues for stronger digital citizenship, media literacy, and responsible technology use. Schools, technology companies, and governments all have roles in creating safer digital. The broader approach should combine technological safeguards with education, ethical standards, and social responsibility. Key highlights. Social media affects children, privacy, regulation alone cannot address all the need for digital citizenship and media literacy. Tech and governments share responsibility. Exam focus, digital governance, AI, technology regulation, children's online safety, privacy.
Now, we move on to next point article is Jot, non-Jot, fault line in Haryana. To listen to this article,
Category social issues, political representation. Summary. Article examines the continuing Jat non-Jat political divide in Haryana. The immediate debate concerns transparency in employment and recruitment and the political representation of different social groups. It discusses how political parties have historically attempted to build electoral coalitions across caste communities. The BJP's political strategy in Haryana is changing caste equation. The controversy is how caste identity organization. The article also highlights the need for equal opportunities irrespective of community. Highlights. Haryana politics has a significant non-Jat social political parties seek broader cross-community electoral caste representation remains important in state politics. Examples: social justice, political representation, caste politics, public employment.
Now, on to next point of this page. It was related to rural urban divide in female labor force participation. Please to listen to this.
3. The rural-urban divide in female labor force participation. Page number 9. Category: Economy, Women Empowerment, Labor. Summary. Analyzes the rise in female labor force participation rate (FLFP) for 25. The chart shows substantial between states, with some recording much faster improvement than others. Article cautions against interpreting the national improvement uniformly because state-level participation, equality policy in India's changing labor. Key highlights. Source: Periodic Labor Force Survey (PLFS). Period analyzed. 2019-24-25. Rural female labor force participation has risen faster than urban participation. Considerable state-wise variation exists. Examples: PLMS, FNFPR, women in workforce, labor economics, gender empowerment. Empowerment. Data point to remember. The rural chart shows particularly strong West Bengal, Uttar Pradesh, Gujarat and Orissa, while the urban chart shows a more uneven pattern.
Yeah. To the next part article of this page. Before this, those who are new to this channel, please to subscribe and like button. Related to Vande Mataram from page number
1. Vande Mataram and the right to dissent. Page number 10. Category: Polity, Constitution, Judiciary, Fundamental Rights. Summary. The article examines the legal position surrounding Vande Mataram, particularly the balance between respect for the national song and the individual's freedom of conscience. The 2026 amendment protects Vande Mataram from being stopped or deliberately disrupted, but the article argues that it does not make singing compulsory or prescribe participation in all six stanzas. The Supreme Court's Bijo amendment is highlighted as an important precedent protecting the right to remain silent when participation conflicts with freedom of conscience. Articles 25 and 26 of the Constitution protect freedom of conscience to profess, practice and propagate religion, subject to constitutional limitations. The article distinguishes between deliberately disrupting a performance and simply choosing not to participate. It concludes that constitutional patriotism requires respect for national symbols while also protecting legitimate individual freedom of conscience. He highlights. Vande Mataram was given official recognition as India's national song. 2026 Amendment protects performances from deliberate stopping disruption. It does not prescribe compulsory singing of all six stanzas. Petro Emmanuel versus State of Kerala, 1986, right pointing arrow important precedent on freedom of conscience. Articles 25 to 26 right pointing arrow constitutional protection of religious freedom, freedom of conscience. The constitutional takeaway. Very important for UPSC, SSC, banking exams. Freedom of conscience does not equal right to disrupt. An individual may have constitutional protection for choosing not to participate, while deliberate disruption of a protected performance can attract legal consequences. Remember, for example, Biju Emmanuel case, 1986. Right pointing arrow did not sing the national anthem because of religious conscience. Right pointing arrow Supreme Court protected their right to remain silent. Right pointing arrow key constitutional principle, freedom of conscience under Article 25.
now. 11. The first important article was related AI moves from reading to bioengineering to designing them.
1. Changes when AI moves from reading viral genomes to designing them. Category: Science and Technology, Biotechnology, AI, Biosecurity. Summary: The article examines the shift from AI analyzing biological sequences to potentially designing new biological sequences, raising major biosecurity questions. A Stanford experiment was inserted into bacteria. The article specifies does not prove AI can autonomously manufacture dangerous human viruses; rather, it demonstrates increasing AI capability in biological design. The same capabilities could potentially be misused to design biological agents, creating a dual-use technology challenge. Therefore emphasizes stronger screening, safeguards, institutional oversight, biology capability. AI is moving from reading genomes right-pointing arrow designers. Stanford experiment involved AI bacterial freezer functional proteins. 285 designs were tested. The article notes that only a proportion showed success. Potential benefits: drug discovery, vaccines, engineering and antimicrobial research. Major concerns: plus dual-use AI plus biological muscles. Exam takeaway: AI plus biotechnology equals dual-use technology. And new biotech. Important distinction: the Stanford experiment stage does not establish that AI can autonomously create dangerous human viruses. Significance is that AI is increasingly capable of proposing biological designs that scientists can experimentally test. Keywords for revision: generative AI, genome design, protein engineering, synthetic biology, biotechnology, biosecurity, dual-use technology, AI safety, biological safeguards.
Now, to move on to next important article. This was the only important article from this page. Now, move on to next page, that is page number 1. First important article was related to global speed.
1. India can become global shipbuilding hub, Rajnath. Page number 12. Category: Economy, Defense, Infrastructure, Manufacturing. Summary: Defense Minister Rajnath Singh said India has the potential to become a. He stressed that a self-reliant defense sector is necessary for authority. India has a large workforce, steel producing capacity and growing technological capabilities that can support shipbuilding. The government is promoting shipbuilding capacity in Bengaluru, Kerala and West Bengal, among other locations. The sector can generate employment, strengthen maritime capabilities and support both commercial and defense requirements. The article links shipbuilding with India's broader Atmanirbhar Bharat and industrial development objectives. He highlights: India aims to become a global shipbuilding hub. Strategic autonomy requires a self-reliant defense sector. Key advantages: workforce, steel industry and technological capability. Shipbuilding can support employment and maritime security. Exam focus: Atmanirbhar Bharat, defense indigenization, shipbuilding, maritime economy.
Moving on to next important article on this page. Those who are new to this channel, please subscribe and hit the like button. Next important article was this one.
Union to begin Japan visit today to boost trade, investments. Number 12. Category: International Relations, Economy, India-Japan. Summary: Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal is scheduled to visit Japan to strengthen bilateral trade and investment. The visit includes meetings with Japanese investors and business leaders. Discussions are expected to cover sectors such as energy, steel, automotive, financial services and healthcare. The visit comes amid efforts to deepen India's economic relationship with Japan. Greater Japanese investment can support India's manufacturing, infrastructure and employment objectives. The engagement demonstrates the economic dimension of India's broader strategic partnership with Japan. Key highlights. Piyush Goyal right-pointing Arrow Japan visit. Focus. Trade plus investment. Meetings with Japanese investors, business leaders. Potential sectors, energy, steel, automobiles, financial services, healthcare. Exam focus, India-Japan relations, FDI, trade diplomacy, economic partnerships.
Now, to move on next point article was related BGCA officials for corruption.
3. CBI books former BGCA official over page number 12. Category Judiciary Anti-Corruption Governance. Summary against a former Senior Directorate General of Civil Aviation (DGCA) official over alleged corruption. The investigation concerns alleged irregularities involving aviation-related companies and official decisions. The CI is examining whether the official misused his position and unethically favored selected entities. The case highlights the importance of integrity and regulatory independence in the civil aviation sector. It also demonstrates the role of central investigative agencies in examining alleged corruption involving public officials. For example, DGCA's role as India's civil aviation regulator is particularly relevant. He highlights Agency, Central Bureau of Investigation (CBI). Former senior DGCA official role. Allegations concern corruption in regulatory discipline. The authority.
Now, moving on next point article related to Dalit family changes hands.
4. FC questions police family changes hands next time. It's number 12. Category Judiciary, Social Justice, SC Saint Rights. Summary The Rajasthan High Court questioned the handling of a police investigation concerning an alleged attack on a Dalit family. The investigation had reportedly changed hands multiple times, raising concerns over its credibility. Act 1989 expressed concern over delays in the manner in which the investigation was conducted. The case highlights the importance of effective enforcement of laws protecting vulnerable. It is particularly relevant to social justice, constitutional equality and protection against caste-based atrocities. Rajasthan High Court questioned repeated changes in investigation. Victims: Dalit family. Relevant law: SC Pastone, Prevention of Atrocities Act, 1989. Judicial scrutiny of police investigation. Exam focus: SC Pastone Act, Social Justice, Constitutional Equality, Judiciary.
Moving on to next point article, it was related to Lok Sabha prorogation.
5. Form. Plans. Abnormal. NS prorogation debate. Page number 12. Category. Polity, Parliament, Constitution. Summary. The Congress has raised concerns over what it describes as an abnormal delay in proroguing the Lok Sabha. The issue concerns the constitutional procedure following the conclusion of the parliamentary session. The newspaper report refers to Article 85 and the role of the President in summoning and proroguing Parliament. The controversy raises questions about parliamentary conventions and the timing of the next session. It also relates to the constitutional relationship between the executive, parliament and the president. The issue is highly relevant for procedure governing parliamentary sessions. Issue: Delay in Lok Sabha prorogation. Article 85 is central. President has constitutional rule regarding parliament sessions. Raises questions concerning parliamentary convention and procedure. Exam focus, Parliament, Article 85, President, Delegation.
Now, move on to next part. From page number 42 section, the first article. Here was page number 13. You should unmute the sound, click the subscribe and the like button. Because it is new reservation.
1. Club operationalized women's reservation. Committee to Rahul. Page number 13. Category Polity, Women Empowerment, Electoral Reforms. Summary. BJP General Secretary Smriti Irani urged Congress leader Rahul Gandhi to support the government's initiative concerning 33% reservation for women. She appealed for the full implementation of the constitutional amendments providing reservation for women in the Lok Sabha and state assemblies. The issue relates to the Constitution 106th Amendment Act 2023, popularly associated with the Nari Shakti Vandan Adhiniam. The legislation provides for one-third reservation for women in the Lok Sabha and state legislative assemblies. Its implementation is linked to the completion of the census and delimitation exercise. The article is important because it connects women's political representation with constitutional amendment, electoral delimitation and parliamentary reform. He highlights 33% reservation for women in Lok Sabha and state assemblies. Constitutional basis 106th Constitutional Amendment Act 2023. Popular name Nari Shakti Vandan Adhiniam. Implementation linked to census plus delimitation. Exam focus Women reservation, constitutional amendments, parliament, delimitation. Exam takeaway 106th Constitutional Amendment Act 2023. Right pointing arrow provides one-third reservation for women in Lok Sabha and state assemblies. Right pointing arrow reservation is to take effect after the relevant census and delimitation process.
Move on to next article. Was related to Bengal government.
Two. Bengal government appoints BJP legislators to lead college government. Page number 13. Category Government, Education, Administration. Summary. The West Bengal government appointed BJP legislators and MPs to head the governing bodies of several state-aided colleges. The appointments involve representatives from both the ruling and opposition sides. The move concerns the administration and governance of higher education. Appointments have generated political discussion over the purpose. The issue also touches upon the relationship between state government authority and institutional governance. For understanding governance of state-aided educational institutions, although its competitive exam value is lower than the women reservation article. West Bengal government right-pointing arrow appointments to political bodies. BJP legislators, MPs included among appointments. Concerns higher education administration. Involves state authority and institutional governance. Exam focus, state governance, higher education administration.
Next article was related to the status of centers for students.
3. See assurances to keep options open. Page number. Category Polity Governance Public Policy. Summary. The CTP is set to review the status of assurances given by the Centre concerning the issue discussed in the report. The organization indicated that it would assess whether the government's commitments have been implemented. It plans to consider further action depending on the outcome of its review. The development illustrates the role of civil society organizations in monitoring government assurances and policy implementation. The report also highlights the continuing debate surrounding the relevant government decision and its implications. For example, the broader takeaway is the importance of accountability, implementation. He highlights CJ centers assurances. Further options remain open depending on action. Highlights civil society monitoring of government commitments. Policy decisions with accountability. Exam focus, governance, accountability, civil society.
Now, now we want to read number okay, important but was the data. Before this, on YouTube channel, please subscribe, hit the bell button. Now we listen article.
1. No new H1N1 strain in India. Existing vaccines sufficient. Page number 14. Category Health Public Policy. Survey. The Indian Council of Medical Research (ICMR) is currently circulating in India are well. The finding is based on analysis of Sansa A, H1N1, PDMO9 viruses circulating in India. ICMR reported that no new strain of H1N1 has been identified. Seasonal influenza if described as largely self-limiting. The article notes that influenza surveillance and regular monitoring remain important because viruses can evolve. Existing vaccines therefore remain relevant. Groups should take greater precautions. He highlights CMR right pointing arrow no new H1N1 strain identified in existing influenza vaccines remain well matched. The H1N1 DMO people with underlying health conditions.
Now, move on to next important article of startup space.
2. PM calls upon to make India a talent hub. Page number 14. Science and Technology, Space Startup. Prime Minister Narendra Modi urged India's private space sector to build a global talent hub. He called for strengthening India's space ecosystem through startups, companies, investment and skilled human resources. The Prime Minister highlighted opportunities for Indian space startups to contribute to sectors such as agriculture, livestock and environmental monitoring. India is seeking greater private sector participation in its expanding space economy. The article notes that the government has addressed private space agriculture, livestock and environmental monitoring. Support includes a 1,000 rupees pro fund, such as startups and private investment in space. Exam focus in space startups, space economy, innovation.
We move on to next important article. Space technology. Arjun.
SC committee pulls up Assam government for an action over mining activity near Kaziranga. Polity Governance. Summary. Committee criticized the Assam government over alleged inaction regarding national park. The issue concerns its potential impact on the ecologically sensitive landscape surrounding the protection. The committee examined whether adequate action had been taken to prevent related environmental damage. The Kaziranga National Park is preserved as an important biodiversity region and a major habitat for the one-horned rhinoceros. The matter demonstrates the role of judicially monitored mechanisms in enforcing environmental protection. It also highlights the conflict between resource extraction and conservation of protected ecosystems. Supreme Court appointed committee criticized Assam government issue, mining near Kaziranga. Concerns, ecological and protection of wildlife habitat. Kaziranga is important for one-horned rhinoceros conservation. Exam focus, Supreme Court as mining, biodiversity, environmental governance.
Now, moving to next one article was related to Annapurna Scheme A.
Sabotage behind delays in Annapurna's email. Bengal BJP chief. Page number 14. Category Welfare, Social Security. Summary. West Bengal BJP chief Samir Bhattacharya attributed delays in assistance under the Annapurna scheme to systemic problems and alleged sabotage. The scheme provides financial assistance to eligible beneficiaries, making timely implementation important for welfare delivery. The article reports complaints about beneficiaries not receiving expected payments. The issue highlights problems in implementation, beneficiary identification, and delivery of welfare assistance. Political parties have traded allegations over responsibility for the delays. For examinations, the broader significance lies in welfare scheme implementation, last mile delivery, and beneficiary targeting. Key highlights: Scheme Annapurna. Issue Alleged delays in beneficiary assistance. Concerns about implementation and delivery of welfare benefits. Political dispute over responsibility for the delays. Exam focus Welfare schemes, social security, last mile delivery.
Next point article. I think these are the only important articles from this page. Now, moving on to next page, it is page number 15. The first important article was related to stagger your bond and study your cash flow.
Category Economy, Banking, Finance, Investment. Summary. The article explains bond laddering, an investment strategy in which bonds are purchased with different maturity dates rather than having all bonds mature simultaneously. The approach creates a stream of maturities and therefore helps investors manage cash flow and reinvestment risk. When interest rates change, staggered maturities allow investors to reinvest portions of their portfolio with bond laddering can provide greater time diversification and reduce dependence on predicting future interest rates. It can be useful for investors seeking predictable income, particularly during retirement. The strategy can also be applied to fixed income instruments such as government securities, bank deposits, and other fixed income products. Key highlights: Bond laddering equals bonds with different maturity dates. Reduces dependence on predicting interest rate movements. Creates a staggered stream of principal repayments. Helps manage reinvestment risk and cash flow requirements. Exam focus bonds, fixed income, interest rates, investment risk. Banking exam takeaway. Bond laddering right pointing arrow time diversification right pointing arrow reduced reinvestment, interest rate timing risk right pointing arrow more predictable cash flow.
Now, to move to the next one article, it was related to informed consumers.
2. Informed consumers can shape insurance markets. Page number 15. Category Economy Insurance Financial Awareness. Summary. The article argues that better informed consumers can influence the quality and competitiveness of the insurance market. Consumers should compare policies carefully instead of choosing products only on the basis of price. Important factors include coverage, exclusions, claim settlement, waiting periods, deductibles, riders, and policy conditions. Greater financial awareness can encourage insurance. The article also stresses the importance of understanding coverage rather than relying only on sales claims. Strong consumer awareness can therefore improve market discipline and encourage better insurance practices. Highlights. Insurance choice should not be based on price. Compare coverage, exclusions and policy conditions. Consumer awareness can improve market competition. In claim-related provisions is important. Exam focus, events, financial literacy, consumer protection. 3.
Next one article of this page was related to issue alpha.
3. Elusive alpha. Page number 15. Category Banking, Finance, Capital Markets, Investment. Summary. The article examines why professional portfolio managers often struggle to consistently generate alpha. Alpha refers to investment performance above an appropriate benchmark after considering relevant factors. The article notes that generating persistent excess returns is difficult because markets are competitive and information is widely available. Investment success depends on factors such as skill, knowledge, risk management, portfolio construction, and market conditions. It also discusses how investors can mistakenly attribute good performance to skill when it may partly result from favorable market conditions. The key lesson is that consistently outperforming the market is difficult, and investors should distinguish genuine skill from temporary performance. Key highlights. Alpha equals excess return relative to a benchmark. It boosts portfolio performance. It can be difficult to separate. Exam focus, mutual funds, portfolio management, benchmark, risk return, capital markets.
Move on to next part. I think these are the only important articles to this page. Now moving on to the next page, that is page number 16. 6 important articles in this page. Those who are new to some, please to subscribe the like button. Next important article was related to new sanctions.
1. New sanction, a sign of desperation. US measures will fail, says RFG. Page number 16. Category International Relations, West Asia, Iran US. Relations. Summary. Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi criticized the US for preparing what it described as its toughest sanctions on Iran. He argued that sanctions would not force Iran to abandon its position. The dispute remains connected with Iran's nuclear program, the wider US-Iran confrontation and tensions in the Strait of Hormuz. Iran's economy has already faced significant pressure from sanctions and restrictions on energy exports. The developments have wider consequences for global energy markets because of the strategic importance of the Strait of Hormuz. The article is important for understanding the continuing geopolitical confrontation between Iran and the US. Key highlights. Iran right-pointing arrow strongly opposed new US sanctions. Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi. Major strategic issue, Strait of Hormuz. Sanctions have implications for West Asia, energy security.
Article was related to election polling during
2. Holding election during war will split Ukraine, Zelensky. Page number 16. Category International Relations, Russia-Ukraine War, Democracy. Summary. Ukrainian President Zelensky warned that holding elections during the ongoing war could divide the country. Ukraine has suspended elections under martial law following Russia's invasion. Zelensky argued that conducting an election during wartime democratic electoral processes with national security during Russia's continued occupation of parts of Ukraine difficulties for conducting elections across the country. The debate will constitutional and democratic challenges faced by countries under prolonged martial law. Key highlights. Ukraine remains under martial law. Elections have been suspended during the war. Zelensky won elections for exam focus, Russia-Ukraine war, martial law,
begin related to Canada.
3. Escalating tariff trade war, devastation. US official. Page number 16. Category International Relations. Summary. A US official described the conflict between the US and Canada as highly damaging to Canada. The dispute involves tariffs imposed by the two countries and disagreements over bilateral trade. Canada and the US have deeply integrated supply chains, businesses and consumers, and disrupt cross-border trade. Demonstrates how protectionism is important for understanding key highlights. US pointing arrow escalating tariff dispute. Tariffs affect cross-border trade. Canada and US have highly integrated economies. Protectionism can raise business, consumer costs. Example: tariffs, trade wars, protectionism, international trade.
Now, moving on to next point article was related by
4. Taiwan leader vows never to yield an end to China. Taiwan's leadership reiterated its opposition to Chinese pressure, marking a historic confrontation with China. Taiwan continues Beijing's claims over the island and stresses its right to determine its own future. China considers Taiwan part of its territory and has not ruled out the use of to achieve unification. The Taiwan Strait is therefore one of the world's major geopolitical flashpoints. The dispute has major implications for regional security, trade and semiconductor supply chains. The article is highly relevant to understanding China's geopolitical strategy and influence. Key highlights. Taiwan-China dispute remains a major Indo-Pacific flashpoint. Taiwan rejects Beijing sovereignty claims. China maintains its claim over Taiwan. Taiwan Strait is strategically important. Exam focus: China, Taiwan, Indo-Pacific, geopolitics, semiconductor security.
this article is related to M23 fighter.
5. VR Congo and M23 fighters agree to roadmap for peace talks. Page number 16. Category International Relations, Conflict and Peace, Africa. Summary. The Democratic Republic of Congo (DRC) and M23 rebels agreed to a roadmap for talks. The agreement follows prolonged conflict involving M23 fighters in eastern Congo. The conflict has caused a serious humanitarian and regional security problem. The roadmap is intended to establish steps towards negotiations and a possible regional actors and international partners have been involved in diplomatic efforts to resolve the conflict. The development is significant because M23's activities have broader implications for stability in the Great Lakes region of Africa. Key highlights. Parties: DR Congo and M23. Roadmap agreed for peace negotiations. Conflicts concentrated in eastern DRC. Major concerns: displacement, security and humanitarian crisis. Exam focus: African geopolitics, peace processes, regional conflict.
Now, moving on to next point article related to Sankalp.
Chinese humanoid robot breaks Usain Bolt's 100 meters world record. Page number 16. Category Science and Technology, Robotics, Important Record. Summary. The Chinese humanoid robot reportedly completed a 100-meter race in 9.39 seconds, breaking the previously cited humanoid robot record. The robot in Beijing. The reported performance was faster than the previous humanoid robot, 5 meters per second by a proven robot demonstrates advances in robotic locomotion, navigation and control systems. It is an important example of China's in humanoid robotics. The development is relevant in AI, robotics and advanced manufacturing. Key highlights. Humanoid robot right pointing arrow 100 meters per second. Robotic development. Beijing demonstrates advances in robotic movement. China is rapidly expanding humanoid robot capabilities. Examples: robotics, AI, advanced manufacturing,
That is one of the only important articles for this page. Now, move on next important article. Now, this group from question is subscribe to the lecture. Next page, the next important article was India eliminated after a four loss draw with Australia.
1. India eliminated. Page number 17. Category Important Sports International Summary. India were eliminated from the Hockey World Cup after a goalless draw against Australia. India had entered the match needing a strong result to keep their campaign alive. The Indian team created opportunities but failed to convert them into goals. Australia defended effectively. The result highlights the importance of conversion efficiency in defense at the highest international level. In highlights. 2. Hockey World Cup. India right pointing arrow eliminated after a 0-0 draw with Australia. India struggled to convert scoring opportunities. Australia advanced further in the tournament. Exam focus, major international tournament, Indian sports, hockey.
Now, important article. I think this was an important article. Now, the other articles are repeated articles. So, move on to next one. Page first important article of this page was related to this.
1. Dominant linear and say young power their way to the top. Page number 18. Category Important Sports Badminton World Championships. Summary. The 2026 Badminton World Championships concluded with major international results across the singles and doubles categories. France's Alex Linier became the first French men's singles world champion, defeating compatriot Alex Doucet in the final. South Korea's Nsei Young successfully defended her women's singles world title. France's Jiquel Delvaux won the mixed doubles title, while China's men's doubles pair Liang Weiqing and Wang Chan won their title. The tournament was notable for France's strong performance, including multiple titles. India's Satvik Saraj Vankareddy and Chirag Shetty were among the notable competitors, with the page's major Indian achievement came in women's doubles. Key highlights. Alex Linier right pointing arrow first French men's singles world champion. And Lin right pointing arrow women's singles world champion. France right pointing arrow strong showing with men's singles and mixed doubles titles. China right pointing arrow men's doubles title. Exam focus, Badminton World Championships, major international sporting achievements, records.
Now, move on to next important article was related to Trisha and Guy.
2. Lisa Gayatri combined cherishes medal moment. Page number 18. Category Important Sports Badminton India. Summary. India's Lisa Jolly and Gayatri Gopichan won a bronze medal in women's doubles at the Badminton World Championship. The medal is significant because it is India's first women's doubles medal at the World Championship. The achievement marks an important milestone for Indian badminton, particularly in women's doubles. The pair reflected on the significance of winning a medal at a major global championship. Their performance strengthens India's presence in international badminton beyond the traditionally stronger men's doubles category. The result is important for competitive exams because it represents a significant international sporting achievement by India. Key highlights. Players. Lisa Jolly plus Gayatri Gopichan. Medal. Bronze. Event. Badminton World Championship. Historic achievement. India's first Women's Doubles World Championships medal. Exam focus. Badminton World Championship.
Move on to next point article. Display. These are only the point articles from this page. Now move on to next page. This page number 18. The first point article from this one.
1. When tourists to Q. Page number 19. Category Important Sports Cricket World Test Championship. Summary. The article questions the increasing prevalence of two test series in international cricket. It notes that the World Test Championship (WTC) has been in existence since 2019, but there is no compulsory requirement for teams to play more than two tests in a series. Encouraged many teams to prefer shorter. The article argues that a longer test series provides greater recovery and genuine assessment of team strength. Historic examples are used to show how a three-test series can change dramatically after one character and competitive depth of Test cricket. World Test Championship began in 2019. WTC does not require bilateral series to contain more than two tests. Commercial consideration encourage shorter series. Three-test series can provide greater opportunity for comebacks and momentum shifts. Exam focus WTC, Test Cricket, International Sports Governance, ICC. Sports exam takeaway. Core issue. Two test series versus longer test series. The article's central argument is that test cricket's longer format can provide a more meaningful measure of team quality, while excessive reliance on two test series may reduce the depth and unpredictability that make test cricket distinctive.
Now move on to next point article. This was only the current article from this page. Now move on to next page. Is page number 20. The first point article was this.
1. Human space norms find a firm footing in India's new re number E. Category Science, Space, Environment, Governance. Summary. India has introduced guidelines governing the planned re-entry of satellites and other space objects into Earth's atmosphere. The rules have been issued by the Indian National Space Authorization Centre in space as India's space activity expands. The need for regulation has grown because thousands of satellites now operate in low Earth orbit, increasing the number of objects eventually requiring controlled re-entry. The guidelines place responsibility on operators for accountability, risk management, sustainability and environmental protection. Operators must assess potential damage from debris, fragmentation and uncontrolled re-entry, including risks to people and property. The framework aligns emerging international space sustainability norms and strengthens governance of the country's growing private space sector. Highlight. Regulatory body in space. Focus. Planned satellite space object re-entry. Operators must undertake accountability and risk assessment. Risk must generally remain below the prescribed 10,000 year casualty risk threshold, according to the guidelines. Exam focus Space debris in space, space sustainability, private space sector, international space norms. Important concept. Why controlled re-entry matters. A spacecraft returning to Earth has to navigate risks involving people, property, airspace, marine zones, and environmental damage. The new framework seeks to make operators responsible for these risks rather than treating re-entry merely as an end-of-mission event. Exam keywords. In space, space debris, low Earth orbit, controlled re-entry, uncontrolled re-entry, casualty risk, space sustainability, private space operators.
Now move on to next point article. page. This one.
2. Barren land fallacy. Page number E. Category Environment, Ecology, Biodiversity, Conservation. Summary. The article develops the assumption that land without dense forests is necessarily barren or ecologically unproductive. Drylands, grasslands, shrublands. Such landscapes can provide other organisms while also supporting local. A major concern is inappropriate afforestation, where planting the open ecosystems can damage the existing ecological balance. The article stresses that conservation should be based on the native ecosystem and local ecological conditions, rather than simply increasing tree cover. Protect biodiversity therefore requires recognizing the value of non-forest ecosystems and automatically converting them into forests. He highlights barren land does not equal ecologically useless land. Savannas, shrublands and drylands can be biodiversity rich. Unscientific tree planting may damage naturally open ecosystems. Conservation should consider native ecology and local conditions. Exam focus, biodiversity, afforestation, ecosystem restoration does not automatically mean better ecology. If an area is natural savanna or dryland ecosystem, converting it into a forest through artificial tree planting can alter habitats, water availability and species composition. Pushed crocodiles into areas they had not reached for nearly half a century. The caption attributes the change to extreme rainfall. Example: climate variability right pointing arrow extreme rainfall right pointing arrow change wildlife distribution. I have not
Yes, was completed. Now to listen 1 minute review.
1 minute revision. Space. India is regulation of planned space object re-entry as satellite activity increases. Environment. Natural open ecosystems should not automatically be treated.
With this, we will all the important articles. You have done all the page wise. Please do make your notes. Until now, subscribe the channel and see you in the next video.